Welcome to Connect to Success with me, Ashley Owens, on RVN TV on Thursdays during your lunchtime, where we talk to the power networkers of the greater Philadelphia and South Jersey area. If you haven't noticed, I've had a lot of coffee. Dave, I think you and I have had one of those days where we just are either sugar high or caffeinated high because the mornings have been a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
What was your morning like this morning?
It was working out, coming back, trying to get on a call.
Yeah.
Then we had our podcast.
Right.
And then went to cleaners coming.
Yeah.
Then trying to get
Because
out.
you sold your house or you bought a house?
Bought a house a couple years ago, but
Nice.
we didn't have cleaners for a while, and we just figured out that we absolutely need cleaners.
Isn't it weird how, like, when you first get things, like adult things, like houses
Yeah,
and like
makes
apartments
sense.
and things, like that makes
Yeah.
sense, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I get why my parents got cleaners, or I get why they clean so much, or like it's a big to do.
Yeah.
All the time.
How about stocking the house? An actual
With
like,
things?
just items, decorations,
People.
Yeah. You know, all of it. Just like having like Advil around all the time, you
It's
know?
like- it's
Toilet
like a
paper. It's pretty
so
basic, but
inconvenient when we don't have it.
I know.
Oh, God.
I have to buy those things now. It's unfortunate, but it's being an adult.
Well, for those of you who don't know Dave Collins from Logicworks, he's a friend of mine, and we also are part of the same networking group together called the Mastermind group. And I finally get a chance to kind of get everybody on the show. It's been forever, so
Yeah.
I'm super happy to have you on. So for
Happy to be
people
here.
that don't know Dave, please tell the people who you are, what you do, and why you're awesome.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
By the way, your suit, can you just tell people where their suit's from?
Oh, from Enzo's.
No. Like what suit it is?
Oh, it was my wedding suit. It's my wedding suit. Do I look good?
Dude, I was like, that suit looks really good. He goes, yes, I wore it at my wedding. I'm like, I feel special.
Yeah, actually paid a good penny for it and didn't get it off the rack like most of my suits. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go back to you. So go look into that camera and tell people who you are, what you do, and why you're awesome.
Well, Ashley, like you said, Dave Collins with Logicworks. I've been in the tech sales game for about 10 plus years now. And Logicworks, as an organization, what we do is we essentially are a premier consulting partner for companies that are looking to move to the public cloud. So AWS and Microsoft Azure, we help them game plan, execute on that game plan, and then also optimize their environments once they're there. So we work primarily with financial technology companies, healthcare tech companies, software as a service companies, anyone that has money tied into some form of a platform that customers are accessing every day. So we help companies optimize their environments in the public cloud, and I am a senior solution specialist for them. So my job is to go out there and essentially evangelize what we do and help clients kind of bridge that gap from beginning of the process all the way down to working with our professional services and delivery teams.
Can I ask for a favor?
Yeah.
Can you speak dumb to me?
Sure.
If somebody had no idea what the public cloud was, what the technology was, which is most
lot of
people,
people.
mostly me. Mostly, it's really not just pretending here. I just need to know.
Yes.
If you could, when somebody calls you, what problem are they having?
Most of the time, in a lot of cases, let's put it that way, there's a lot of startups out there, whether it's out in the San Francisco, San Jose, and
Even Philly area, it's been
Philly area,
super
tons
robust,
of startups coming around here.
Yeah.
And when they build an app
Okay.
of some form, and they're in that early stage, they want to use a public cloud platform because it's pay as you go.
And the public cloud platform is what?
It's called either Amazon, has AWS,
And that's
Amazon
where
Web
people
Services.
host the data they need for the application.
Correct.
Okay.
The data, all the services, all their code goes into that platform. Or Microsoft has their own platform called Azure. And what these companies will do is they'll go on these platforms because they get all the scalability, and if it doesn't work out, they don't have a long-term contract.
Okay, so it's a different alternative from hosting it on their own?
On their own equipment. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to go out and put this big capital expenditure because you don't know really where the organization is going to go in the next couple of years. So what they'll do is they'll get into it and they'll grow as a company. And they don't really have any rules as to how they're building anything in there. They're just throwing it up there, doing what their clients want.
It's essentially storage.
Yeah, well, there's storage is one component of it,
Right,
for
right.
sure. But they have these applications. Think, Uber. When you go on to Uber, all that data and all of that, geographical locations is hosted somewhere in the public cloud. It's hosted on AWS.
Right.
And you're typing in all these things, and there's all this compute power behind it that's pulling up your address, and it's pulling up where you want to go to, and it's pulling up the different drivers and letting them know that type of stuff. So there's a lot of power behind it. These companies will grow, and then they realize, we have security concerns, we didn't build it properly, so we'll come in and we'll help them optimize their environments to get it to meet compliant standards, because a lot of them are hosting really sensitive information for people, whether it's social security numbers, credit card numbers, health information, anything like that.
So that's huge. So would you say that most technology companies in that space are using a public cloud service?
A lot are. I think if you're starting out as a tech company now, you definitely are. But there's a lot that are still sitting on the more legacy side, where they're in data center environments, which a data center is just a really large warehouse, kind of like we're in right now in the studio.
Large. It's scary in here.
And there's just different racks of servers, power, cooling, all that type of stuff. And they bought all their own equipment. They put it in there and they manage it themselves. But that's a lot of overhead, and you have to have a lot of resources to do that. So.
Wow. So what would you say that when someone comes to you and is having an issue, what would you say, or how would you take them through the process of figuring out what their actual issue is? So say for example, I am a tech startup and I am creating the next Uber for professional services. So whether it be makeup, hair, PR stuff, media stuff, I need a makeup artist or a manicurist to come to my house, and I want to make an app that hosts all of that information on, which includes processing power.
Are we about to make an app right now?
Oh, I don't know. Did I just make something up?
It's something.
I might have stolen it from Instagram. I don't know.
This is pretty
but
good.
thank you. But the challenge is, you're starting this. You have the idea. You work with the developers, and then do you have them build it first and then upload it to the cloud, or is it the other way around? Like you have them kind of. So I guess my question is it more proactive or a reactive service?
So the former. They're going to build it. They're going to build the actual application, what it does, all that, and then we would build the infrastructure to make that application essentially secure, help automate it, deployment process, and then also ensure that the environment is built in a way that is sustainable for long-term growth for it. So really what it comes down to, if I were to have a conversation with you and we're talking about, you're building out this application, and what I would want to understand is, what type of data are you hosting there? Is it really sensitive? So we have to have a different set of security controls around that. And then two, you want to focus on what you do best, your core competency, what that application does. So going out there and growing your business and finding more people that need stylists and people that need these professional services that you're trying to sell to. And you don't want to focus on updating operating systems and patching for security updates and automating the way that you deploy. And if you're doing that in a non-automated fashion, you'll have a developer go in and make these changes and might not tell the other one, and then it could break something. So
no kidding.
Yeah, if you can automate all that and take the human element out of it a little bit, it really helps you as the business owner get peace of mind.
So with that peace of mind, where are you giving the business owner peace of mind? How are you handling it from start to finish? Typically, how do you take somebody through the process?
So starting out, we'd like to have kind of an understanding of what they do. I think that's the most critical thing of the business. So I'll start off with either an on-site meeting or some form of a discovery call. And on that call, I'm just asking tons of questions about them, about their business, how they make money, I think is really important. And then we can get into the technical aspects of it. One, I have to understand, are they already leveraging some form of public cloud technology, or are they that more traditional model that you and I discussed?
Model.
Yep. Because if they're legacy, that means they have to move, and that's a whole another level of complexity that comes into that. So we can help with that migration of data and migration of applications.
Oh, you can? Okay, it's not just, this is what you need to do. It's more of like, here, we can get you from one point to the other.
Yes, exactly. And that's why these larger cloud technologies and cloud platforms work with partners like Logicworks, because we do all the hands-on keyboard work for them.
Okay.
They don't want to do any of that. They just want to drive adoption of people and applications moving to their cloud platform.
So what makes you different than, so are you kind of, and again, excuse my ignorance, are you kind of a broker between the client and then like AWS and Azure? So essentially maintaining that system between the two.
Yeah, so we're a broker in the sense that we take what the client needs and where they want to get to on these public cloud platforms, AWS and Azure, and we help them execute upon getting there, and then we'll also help manage their accounts once they're there. All AWS and Azure are really, really big data centers that have all these services built into them, and they have a lot of redundancy where they replicate data to secondary data centers. There's not a lot of points of failure, which if you build it yourself, there could be a lot of points of failure. So we essentially do all the work to get them there and then help them manage it. And it's great for clients because they want to get there and they don't know how to. And it's great for the public cloud platforms that we partner with because they don't want to do any of that work.
No, they just want, they built the data centers.
Get people
and
here.
Just help
That's all
me.
they want.
Yeah. So that's great. So who do you like working with? Not who your clients are. Who do you like working with in this space?
I love working with companies that, SaaS companies, software as a service companies, are huge for us. That's kind of how we've built our business, is working with them, because all of the money that comes in and makes their payroll is based on this platform and application that they built.
Wow.
So I think those are huge, and then those break up into healthcare industry, financial services industry, and then retail type industry, all because they have compliance based. That's what makes us different.
So if a company has a compliance situation or rules or regulations, especially for financial planning, right?
Yeah, financial services is huge.
Services, yeah.
That's usually like
that's
SOC
the
1, SOC
hardest
2.
compliance I've ever seen. I have a couple clients that do financial stuff, and like that, they can't do anything.
Yeah, that's one of the more stringent ones. Certainly high trust and HIPAA for healthcare, because they have a lot of healthcare information, a lot of patient records. And then from a retail standpoint, it's really credit cards, PCI, and the fact that if they're doing transactions on their website, they have to follow a certain set of controls, and we'll help them follow those controls through the processes, because we go out and we get certified for PCI and high trust and HIPAA.
Wow.
And we get all our services certified, so when they go to the public cloud, if they did it themselves, they'd have to do all that auditing on their own.
Oh, wow.
Whereas we can help them meet their auditing standards when they have someone come in.
So it's the one-stop shop. I mean, I feel like you guys handle it from start to finish without having without putting any pressure on the client, without having any really issue with the data center. I mean, you guys are right there in the middle.
The great part is the data centers are already built. All the services are built. We don't have to go and procure anything anytime we get a new client. We don't have to go buy equipment and firewalls and servers. Yeah. It's already all there. It's just clicking buttons. So that's already built. All we have to do is figure out, which is still a pretty big task, of how do we get these new clients onto the platform, and then how do we get them to sign up for ongoing services with us? Because I think a lot of people who are listening to this would agree. Yeah. Monthly recurring revenue is a big thing for our PE firm, for any PE firm that owns an organization. They want that recurring type revenue, and that's what we do best. So.
Amazing. So when we return, we're going to talk to Dave more about what he does best, which is networking, and really how to network in a space that is pretty niche. So stay tuned, and we'll learn about his tactical tips and practical takeaways on Connect to Success.
Dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write. The ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without A lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rostelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
Everybody, welcome back to Connect to Success with me, Ashley Owens. We have Dave Collins here today. We're talking to him about Logicworks, and I'm learning. I've been in the same mastermind group with him for about 2 years now, so I'm just really learning more about how I can actually.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Slow track.
One day at a time.
Just
One day
making
at
it
a
work.
time.
So what I want to talk to you about is networking, because this is a networking show, but it's mostly because first of all, how do you go into a conversation with somebody to not only learn about what they do, but how do you identify a need with your services that are so niche? How do you start that conversation? And this could be helpful for people out there that do have another niche industry. So how do you go about bringing up those kinds of questions, or what questions do you ask that might be able to identify somebody that might have that need?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think
Should have prepped you, sorry.
I
Should have prepped you.
I know, right? It was like just diving right in.
Yeah, sorry.
But it's pretty easy to answer.
Yeah.
It's like we were just talking about right here. A lot of times when I go to certain events, depending on which one it is, there's kind of a dead gaze in people's eyes, like a blank stare sometimes. So I don't even get into talking about what I do. Have a very basic idea of, we help companies move to the public cloud and optimize there, or something like that, whatever it is. And then from there, I just talk to them, learn about what they do, who they work for, what they like to do, and then you get into a comfortable, scenario, and then they start to ask you really what you're doing. And I kind of break it down like the conversation we just had, at a very high level, help them understand, and then they'll usually click and say, oh, that's I know this person at our company, he handles this. Is this kind of what you do? And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
So I think it's really finding a common ground, and then work from there. And a lot of times you'll actually, if I go to a specific tech event, everyone knows.
Yeah,
what
they
I
get
do.
it. Yeah.
So it's a different type of thing, and then sometimes there's a mix of the two. So,
Right. No, I think that's great, and I think that you hit on a really good point there. Is because in the very beginning, what you want to do, and what I hope that everyone has learned from the show, is when we talk about this stuff, is you want to build that trust in the very beginning, and people know BS when it comes. They understand it when it kind of rears its ugly head. So you taking the time to realize, look, you're probably not going to understand what I do, but I'm really interested in knowing what you do.
Yeah.
And that in itself is just one of the reasons why you're awesome, is because you take that time to do that. And then when the conversation starts to kind of, move forward, that's when you kind of slip them in with, oh, by the way, this is how I can actually help, or kind of go into more of a description.
People end up enjoying the conversation that they have with you.
Which is half the battle.
Which is pretty much, it's maybe more than that.
Yeah.
Then they'll intro you to the person that you need to talk with
because you're a cool
anyway.
guy.
Yeah. So I don't even really start. I actually try to avoid talking about what I do.
Talking in general.
Just talking in general. I just stand there like that. But I try and ask them and just learn about them as a person, and just get into a nice conversation. And it could go really nowhere. You just have to understand, when you go to these networking events, it could go absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Or 2 years down the road, you could be working with a company, and this person could walk out and they're the CFO, and they're like, oh, I remember speaking with you. You just got to do it.
Yeah. And has that proved a good ROI for you as far as building up your network by doing it in that way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, it was a couple years ago, where I said to myself, like, I really need to commit to networking, like actually commit to it, and go to not just maybe an event a month or two, go to 5, 6, 7. I remember one month I did like 12 different ones.
3 week.
And just going to them and not expecting anything, just expecting to make the most of it and have the best conversations that you possibly can, and get follow-up and do your follow-up the next day and all that type of stuff, which I'm sure we'll get to, but just going is half the battle too.
And I think putting your face out there, because at the end of the day, I mean, we talked about this before, I mean, a couple shows back, but no one cares what you do. No one really cares. They care how you made them feel. I mean, it's so important, and if you can be a kind, genuine, that gives value by maybe providing a referral. Like, listen, I can't help you, but I know about 3 people that might, or even introducing them to somebody that's part of our networking group that think they would mesh well. Yeah. That's all it is. It's like a weird form of dating, and it's like a weird form of making new friends. Yeah. It's very, very similar compassions and being genuine at the same time, but I find it to be varying different. There's a lot of differences when you're going to networking events, but it's the same foundation. Yeah,
it really is. It's just a matter of, it's going in and just being social, being open to meeting new people. Being kind, and then showing people that you'll follow through.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing. If you meet someone and you have this great conversation, you probably, I mean, again, going back to dating, but even at networking events, you have this great conversation. I'm like, oh, this person could be a great fit for not what I do or what you do, or like I can refer them to someone. Yeah. They seem like they were having a challenge, and then you follow up with them and you never hear from them. Yeah. That lack of follow through, I think, shows, and that's going to hurt you, I think, in the long run.
Yeah, I think so too. And also doing what you say you're going to do. There's, and for the amount of networking that I do in general, sometimes it is hard. I mean, I teach you how to follow up, but sometimes it is hard to follow up every single time. So what I try to do, and some of the things that I think that you guys do, is at the back of the card, I always write who I can introduce them to if I talk about it with them. So for example, if like, hey, who's a good referral for you, financial service companies, and you've got these and these and these, I'm taking my pen out and I'm writing on the back of it, so tomorrow morning I actually have a reason to email them back, not just because of it was a great conversation, but because, I owe them something, and because I care about that. That actually provides me with more of a need to follow up right afterwards, because I had promised them I would love to introduce them to somebody. Yeah. It's just a way of kind of shifting your mindset a little bit of what value you're providing. And actual referrals, people that you can trust them with. But they gotta be cool, because not everybody's so cool.
Yeah, and not everyone is so cool. It shows that you listened. Yes. And it showed that you put down some context to your conversation. You're not just going there and flying by the seat of your pants. And I mean, even though sometimes I am doing that, but if you take down notes, and I do it in my phone sometimes, just put notes. If you write that down, you follow up the next day, and they show that you remembered a specific piece of the conversation, I think it goes a long way. At least in my head it does. If someone remembers something and follows up with me the next day that's very specific to either a personality trait of mine or something I told them about my family or something in business, I think that's huge.
Oh, 100%. It's not done enough. As much networking as I do, and that's literally all my job is, it does not, people don't do that enough. Yeah. And the people that do that enough, they are on my own champion list. So I have this list that I keep of people who are fantastically supportive, and I am fantastically supportive of them. And so it keeps that transition going, and then that's what happens with mastermind groups, is that we all are all supportive of each other.
Yeah, it's been, ours has been great. It's been a great journey, and it continues to get better. So
awesome.
It's nice. Yeah.
All right, so what has, and maybe this is a loaded question, but what has been the best way somebody has described what you did that was the funniest?
Oh, it's a loaded question.
Yeah. Like the most ridiculous way somebody.
It's probably Steve Goodman.
We're gonna see him tonight.
You see him at the event. And just let him know that Steve. I don't know exactly how he phrased it.
I love him so much. Can we just preface it? We're gonna look directly into the camera. We love you so much, Steve. So much.
You are the best, and you know that you don't understand, and you just try to learn, which is even better. Yeah. But I think at one point he described it as like. But one of the things that you mentioned, but you also used some other coherent words in that statement. He's just like, oh, you do the storage, you're a storage guy, or you work with the computers in the storage. And I was like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, and that for him, and again, I use the word storages too, because it's where the data is going or being hosted.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I think for him, he got it.
He did.
But there's in our context, being in tech before, storage is a different aspect of
Yeah,
that.
so not too bad.
Yeah.
And if
Good job,
if
Steve.
that's the worst one, Steve, you're in good company.
Good job, buddy.
He's not the only one that has actually said that. I just figured it'd be funny to call you out.
We love you, Steve. All right, do me a favor, Dave, look into that camera right there and tell people how they can find you.
How they can find me? Obviously LinkedIn. You just search Dave Collins and you'll find me. And for Logicworks, Instagram David J Collins 14, Facebook as well. And outside of that, you can find our podcast on iTunes as well as SoundCloud, and it's called The Business Transformers. That is with Bill Morrow and EJ Enwelcomo. I got that, EJ.
Good for you. That's
Yeah, no, it's a pretty good one.
I was a little worried how you're gonna figure that one out because I don't
it's
have his
Nigerian.
last name.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
He's a
I had to
beautiful
like sound it out a couple times, but you can listen to us and we talk about just different ways to approach sales situations and just basically how to be the best sales professional you can be.
Fun fact: it was the very first podcast I was ever on. So
Yes.
yeah,
It
thanks
was.
very much.
And now look at her.
Oh,
And it's just
I got
skyrocketed.
my face everywhere.
Skyrocketed.
Jesus Christ. My head's big enough, Dave. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us today on Connect to Success with me, Ashley Owens. Thank you very much, Dave Collins
Thanks for
from
having me.
Logicworks for being here today. Stay tuned to next week where we talk to power networkers in the greater Philadelphia and South Jersey area. And as always, you can find me at ashleyAssist.com. And I can't wait to see you next week. So thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.